Welcome back to the channel. We're going to talk about what we're planting here in the desert Southwest and the Phoenix area for the last half of October, getting ready for our fall crops, putting them in now so that we can harvest them later. So things that we're going to start planting now, we're going to start planting turnips, kale, Swiss chard. We're going to start doing collard greens, celery, some cabbage. There's a couple varieties of corn you can still get in the ground and have a good harvest before it gets too cold. We got some carrots, bok choy, and lettuce. What I want to start with is the cauliflower. So cauliflower for us is a big staple here. The family all loves cauliflower. Lots of people do. Sometimes in the desert Southwest it's kind of hard to grow. So we've got a couple of varieties that seem to do really well for us. And the first one is probably Snowball. It's a very early variety of cauliflower as far as by the time you plant it to the time you harvest. It's pretty early. And then you have one that's I'm gonna butcher the name here, Pusa, Meghna, something like that. It's about a 35-day cauliflower. This time of year when we plant it, our cauliflower, we give that particular variety another 3 weeks. So we're not gonna plant that until about the second week into September, because it's a really short season crop. So we don't want to have it too early, too quick, where it's still fairly hot here in the Phoenix area. So we're going to push that out a couple weeks so that we can harvest somewhere between late October to around the middle of November, with another planting in early October that we would harvest into December. Otherwise, we've had really good success with the ROUGE and the Durgesh 41 cauliflower here as well. Moving on to broccoli, we do plant our Waltham 29 right now. It's going to go somewhere between 80 and 85 days before it's ready for harvest. So the Waltham 29 broccoli for us goes in now, and then in about another week or two we're going to start the Calabrese or Calabrese broccoli. That's going to be about a 70-day broccoli, and that's going to get us, you know, again, that some harvest around the Thanksgiving, and then some into December, and then that's going to be it for about a month or so. And then let's talk about Kohlrabi. That is one of my favorites, and it's probably catching on in a lot of places. We like the early white Vienna. It's about a 55-day Kohlrabi. Same with the Delicacy white and the Blauer or Blauer, however you would say that, Speck, which is actually a purple variety. That's a new one for us in the last 2 years. It seems to do okay. We do all right, but we really like the early white Vienna. It's going to give you a nice head on it that you can eat, just a little bulb. Probably about 2 inches or so is about where we like to harvest them. And then let's move on to some squash. There's a couple of different squash that we grow this time of year. Some people will say yes, some people will say no. In a couple of particular beds in the garden, we have the opportunity to grow some of these. First and foremost is a white scallop, which is a patty pan style squash. We really like that one. You can get a saffron prolific. It's a yellow squash. It'll be a 50 to 55 day squash. So, you know, here we are in early, middle of August. So you give us till about the end of September, and you'll start to have those temperatures cool off where we'll start to produce those squash, and then we'll get, you know, late all the way through October and into November, pretty much until we have a frost that kills them. Same with the early prolific Straightneck. It's another white squash. We're going to give that one about a month because it's only 50 days. So we want to have that one producing late October, November. Same thing, so you'll get a whole bunch right in there. Some zucchinis that we like to grow this time of year is just a ZAPPALLO, or however you say that. It's a gray zucchini, and it's about 48 days. And the other one is a Tondo Sciro di Picenza or something like that. Again, it's another one that we like this time of year. It's a round one. It's just a nice, perfectly little round zucchini, and we harvest them really small. Chop them up and use them like a normal zucchini. They're pretty nice. We do usually grow 1 or 2 of the Waltham butternut squash this time of year. We're pushing the dates on that one, but that's one of my wife's favorite for butternut squash, for squash casseroles and stuff through the winter time. So we try to squeeze one of those in there just before the frost. If we move on, we can talk about carrots. We usually grow 2 or 3 different types of carrots through the year, different day lengths, and then we kind of have offset plantings through the entire winter. And then we're harvesting from the middle of December all the way through about March is about the last that we do any carrots. So we have several different ones. The Danvers 126 is pretty popular. We do grow that one, but it's starting to get kind of nudged out of there a little bit with some of these other ones. We have a Rouge Sang. It's kind of a blushed carrot. It's a pretty neat looking carrot. This will be the second year we've grown that, and last year it did pretty good for us. Decent flavor, so we're going to try it one more time, see what we can get out of it. Then the Black Nebula. That is a cool looking carrot. It's about as dark as you can get. The flavor's a little bit different, but it's definitely a cool carrot, and it will stain your teeth and just about everything else that you kind of cut into or wherever it's sitting. But it is a cool carrot to grow. The Uzbeki Gold is starting to become one of our favorites. It's a nice carrot. You know, it's about this long and I don't know, about an inch thick all the way through it. It's a pretty nice little carrot. But our favorite that we've started growing in the last couple of years is this Parisian or Parisian, however you want to say it, carrot. It's about this big and it grows like a turnip or a radish kind of on the top. You know, about this much of the soil, that's where it grows. And it does not get very big, but it is flavorful. It is really sweet and a really good tasting carrot. If you've never grown that carrot, again, find some of those seeds and grow them. You won't be disappointed. That is a fantastic carrot, and they do grow pretty quick. Days to harvest is pretty low on those, but that is by far one of our favorites. Again, they're pretty small, but they pack a really good flavor. Another one that we grew last year is an ox heart carrot, and it's just a, you know, it's got a nice little taper to it, pretty fat at the top and pretty narrow. It's a pretty short little carrot. And for everybody here in the Phoenix area, you know, we've got hard clay soil, so you don't want to try to grow those really long carrots. They just don't do super well in here in the soil unless you're doing them in a deep bucket, like a 5-gallon bucket or other containers. So we have raised beds, but they're only so deep. So definitely check out those ox hearts so you get a big meaty carrot that doesn't get really super long, and they'll do you okay as well. Moving on to cabbage, I like to make sauerkraut, and we really only grow one type of cabbage, and that is the Copenhagen early market cabbage. It really isn't that long of a turnaround. It's 60 to 65 days. So we usually get it going in about another week or two, and then that puts the first harvest, you know, around that late October, early Thanksgiving. And then based on daylights, we'll go 1 week after that, and then we'll have a harvest somewhere in December. And they always say if you can get a frost before you harvest your cabbage will be a little bit sweeter. So we like to push that one a little bit, see what we can end up with. If we move on to cucumbers, a couple that we do grow. We grow Boston pickling cucumbers all the time, as often as we possibly can. Try to squeeze in as many as we can. We like making pickles, but we do the Market More 76, probably more than anything, and that's about a 60 to 72 day pickling cucumber. So we'll plant it now, hope to harvest at the end of October, and then as it gets cooled down, we'll harvest cucumbers all the way till a frost, and usually those later ones right before the frost will be the sweetest tasting cucumber. That'll be the sweetest pickles that we use for bread and butter pickles. We also do a White Wonder pickle, which is about a 60-day cucumber, and they're pretty fantastic, but they're white. It's the only difference. So if you've never tried a white pickle, they taste the same, or these white cucumbers, they taste the same, but they're just a little bit different, and to mix them in with different salads and stuff is pretty neat. When you have extra guests over that don't usually see stuff like that, you can pull one of them and put it in a salad and kind of surprise them a little bit there. Now, if we talk about tomatoes, I grow tons and tons and tons of tomatoes for pasta sauce, making sandwiches, you name it, we do it. We are a huge tomato growing family here, and this time of year we try to grow our bigger tomatoes. So think about the Cherokee purples, the Brandywine, any of the big beefsteak. Daniel's tomatoes come to mind. They're 2-pound tomatoes, are gigantic. This is the only time of the year that you can get to where you can maybe harvest those without them splitting and cracking. I'm referring to the Daniel's tomatoes, the really, really big ones. But otherwise we do a lot of the Abe Lincoln. It's a new one to us about 2 years ago. They do pretty good. Same with the Rutgers tomato. About 2 years we started growing those, and they've done pretty good for us every year. The Mortgage Lifter does really well for us. I like a little bit odd tomatoes, so I like growing Black Krim, Black Beauty, just a couple off the top of my head, a Cherokee Purple, and then you have PRUDEN'S Purple. If you can ever find the PRUDEN'S Purple seeds, that is my favorite. I love that tomato, it's really good. So pick some of those up, especially here late in the season. Those will be really good. But you can grow ox hearts, Amish pastes, and a new one for us last year, or last season this spring, was a carbone, something like that. And it produced a couple really nice tomatoes. We are definitely going to grow that again and see how it goes going forward. If we move on to, say, our green beans, again, huge green bean eating family here. My favorite green bean, hands down, the Big Kahuna. Just like you would think it's spelled, big and then Kahuna. You can pick them up at just about all your big box stores. They have about a 10 or 11 inch long bean that gets to be quite thick. And it's very tender still. It probably gets to about the size of a Sharpie marker thickness, the thinner Sharpie markers, if you really want to let it get that big. We usually try to harvest ours somewhere between 8 and 9 inches, so it's really, really, really tender and young still. And then we can those up for the winter. But we do grow Kentucky Wonder, which is our climbing pole bean style, and then we also do a purple potted pole bean. Purple leaves ish, and then the fruit is purple until you cook it, and then it turns green. But it's still pretty neat to watch the kids pick these purple green beans. The new one that we tried last year is called Jade, J-A-D-E, Jade, and it's a fairly short one. It's about 5.5 inches, 6 inches long, but it's nice and thick and it stays pretty tender as well. We're going to try that again this year, so stay tuned for the updates on whether or not we're going to keep growing those. But for sure we grow the Big Kahuna, the Kentucky Wonder, and purple potted or purple teepees. We always throw a couple of those purple green beans in there. And then last but not least, let's talk about corn. We're a little late on most varieties of corn to be able to harvest them around Thanksgiving. However, if you can find Silver Queen, it's about, I didn't write that down, but I know it's about a 65 or 70 day corn. It's the second year we've grown it in the fall, and we always wait 2 weeks after we plant peaches and cream. So by far our favorite, peaches and cream. That's about an 80 to 85 day corn. So we're going to harvest the first couple of weeks of November all the way up to Thanksgiving, somewhere in that neighborhood, depending on weather. And then this year I tried 2 weeks later. So I just planted last weekend, a couple days ago, one called Silver Queen. And again, it's supposed to be 65 days. So I'm hoping that we'll get that just after the peaches and cream harvest. So Thanksgiving through about the first week of December based on daylight. So there you have what we plant, you know, kind of this time of year. So in August, we're planting corn, we're planting kohlrabi, kale, bok choy. Let's see what else we plant. Our beans, so green beans. We still have some peppers going, so don't neglect those peppers. Some of the we let go through the summer. We finally have some blooms that set some more peppers, so you know, keep them things going. They'll produce for another little while, and you'll get some good peppers off of it. But tomatoes are in the ground. We got some pumpkins in the ground 2 weeks ago. Hopefully it'll be ready just before Thanksgiving. We can have fresh pumpkin pie. Carrots, don't forget your carrots. Broccoli. Cabbage, if you like cabbage, definitely start your cabbage. Be aware of the dates. Some of the cabbage dates are going to get pretty long. Again, we like that Copenhagen early market, but you know, there's lots and lots and lots of things you can still plant now. And coming up in September, we've got a lot more things. You can start in with some more lettuce. Mix in every type of lettuce you can think of. You can start your romaines. You can start the head lettuces like the salanovas and icebergs if you like an iceberg lettuce or anything like that. You can start your lettuces next month. More kale, more broccoli, one more set of broccoli that'll go in early September. So we got about a week, and I'll put another planting of broccoli in and another planting of cauliflower, and that'll be about it for that. But you've got lots and lots and lots of things. Radishes, like I said, the lettuce, kale, and you can get the big kales, the dinosaur kales and all that stuff in. So look forward to next month and what we're going to be talking about planting early in the month, and then what we'll do later in the month as well. So stay tuned for that video. I appreciate everybody watching, and we'll talk to you guys soon.